Some in Odom believe a sign outside the city's public library is unconstitutional. As our Andrew Ellison reports, the separation of church and state is at the center of this controversy.
It's irritating to think that someone would be so petty and try to harm what's helping the children, helping the citizens. You know, go on to something bigger.
Atheists are great people. Great people.
It's God's country. Get those signs down. Get them down. Evil will happen in Corpus Christi. Get them down.
And welcome to Atheist Airwaves, episode number 113. I'm Christian Ferris.
I'm Reb Spence.
I'm Leslie Byerly.
And I'm Ryan Trexler.
We record live.
Shut the fuck up.
We record live every Tuesday at 7:30 Central. So if you're listening via podcast, we encourage you to join us in the YouTube chat room, Ustream chat room, and try and help wreck our show from the inside. But we're doing a bang-up job of doing that all ourselves tonight. Our intro audio this week is from our local NBC affiliate about a separation of church and state violation complaint made by one of our own local community members. And I can't help but think that this librarian who called him so petty has to know him, right? You guys don't even know him, do you?
That sounds like the similar rhetoric that I hear every time someone brings something up down here that's...
And I don't think he lives in Odom. I think he just drives through Odom. Yeah, so I doubt she knows who he is. But
no, I'm not saying she knows him. I'm saying she's nailed him. I mean, not physically, like biblically nailed him, but she knows the content of his character.
Well, what I think the great thing about this is she kind of like tacitly kind of agrees that what they're doing is wrong. But it's like, it's so small. Like, right. Why even worry about it?
We're just a small town. The majority of us are okay with it. So,
like,
screw you.
We're only offending a handful of people. So, I mean,
committing a law.
It's only a small constitutional violation.
As soon as we can't violate the Constitution in small ways, when can we violate the Constitution?
How far is Odom from here? It's like 10.
It's like 30 minutes. It's pretty close.
From here,
from here, it's like 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, it's right. We're close.
Yeah. It's like two exits up, or 4 exits.
Yeah,
something. It's like exit 17, I think. This is all very interesting to you people who don't live in Corpus Christi.
It's close.
Yeah, it's very close. I'm not sure how petty violating the Constitution can ever be, or objecting to that. So I'm sorry if, not being able to promote your religion on government property is hurting your little feelings, but don't we usually worship the Constitution down here in South Texas? Isn't that like, aren't people like fetishizing and masturbating to that thing?
Don't take them out of context.
Does that happen? I thought they were trying to succeed, so why would they?
Succeed?
Texas is number one.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, you're taking them out of context. They only fetishize over, the Second Amendment.
Yeah.
And, that part of the Declaration of Independence that has the thing about God's inalienable something or other. The thing that's not a legal document.
Right.
That's the kind of stuff that they want to follow.
Well, and they like when the, First Amendment protects their religious freedom until they, can't, push their own religion on other people. So that's really
so kind of just to fill everyone in on what actually happened. Our local member first complained to the FFRF after the public library advertised a vacation Bible school for a local church. The FFRF then sent the librarian Donna Hutchins a letter explaining, the law to her. And her first defense is, we don't like this sign. We don't own this sign. The sign was donated, so it's actually a private thing.
Yeah, it's a privately owned sign on public property.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So
I don't get how that works.
I don't either.
Well, that's not how it works.
Some local organization bought it and said, "Hey, can we put this here?"
Which is
and they're
a
like,
donation.
Cool.
That's not how. Yeah.
Yeah, they donated it to them. That's what I'm going to say. Is that I guarantee you that what happens is they donated the sign to the library, and the library put it up. It says Odom Public Library on this goddamn sign.
I didn't see anything else on there saying like property of this place.
Right. And also, the public library is the one who is, updating the sign, using the sign. And that's awfully nice of them to do for this private group who actually apparently owns this sign.
So the library then has the key to get inside and change the stupid letters. And
It's almost like it's theirs.
It has the big box full of letters, and they're probably missing a couple.
But even if we give them the benefit of the doubt and say that, they don't actually own this sign, it's a privately owned sign, it's still on government property, and that still doesn't fly. You can't buy a nativity scene for your local courthouse and then have it in front of the courthouse, because it's still giving the impression that the government is promoting Christianity.
Well, if they accept it and put it there, they are.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So
yeah, this is the same argument that people make about the Ten Commandments, about putting "In God We Trust" on their police cars. There's different parts to that, but one of them is, well, we didn't pay for this. These things were donated, and that doesn't matter.
Right. So the library also claims that it's just community information. So, anyone can use the sign regardless of religion, which is, okay, maybe, but in practice, I doubt it. And we're going to try and test that here locally, and we'll see. Anyone want to take a bet on whether they'll put the word atheist on that sign?
I don't know. It depends on if it's like if we do like Corpus Christi Atheists, or if it'll be Atheists Helping Humanity.
I think it'll be Atheists Helping Humanity.
So I don't know.
They probably won't. They might put "atheists are going to hell."
I'll bet you they'll do something when we request. If they agree to it, they'll just say AHH. They won't write. I guarantee you they won't write the word atheist on there.
Then we'd need to make like the actual event name Atheist something. Like it'll be Atheists Helping Humanity, their Atheist Donation Drive or something. Like
a donation drive is what they're going to put. I would be very, very surprised. Maybe I'll be surprised. So we'll find out. But
I would just love just once to be pleasantly surprised.
I know. In one of these things, I would like these local assholes to just surprise me once. Just once. Because I can write these stories. Like I could make this story up.
Yep.
And it would be totally accurate as to
for so many towns. Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything in
Including Corpus.
Texas. Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to note about the story is that a local woman in the comments of our local news station story.
Never read the comments, Paris.
I know. She was sobbing about how after they take her sign down and they don't let her put up Vacation Bible School stuff on this sign, that then they're going to start taking the churches down, and she's not going to have a church anymore either. And so I want everyone to remember that comment just for a couple of minutes, because I'm going to circle back around to it after our next story, which is that it's a Texas case even more unbelievable than our local library. A park in how do you say this? Port Neches?
Neches?
Really? You couldn't have done that we're like 30 minutes late, and you could have done that 30 minutes.
I needed to do it right now.
Does anyone know how to say that fucking thing?
Neches, sure.
Neches. Okay, Port Neches, Texas has a ginormous cross in the middle of a city park. Absolutely no reason. It's not part of a memorial or anything. It's just, ta-da, Jesus.
It's like, look at all this grass. We should put a cross on it.
That's exactly what it is.
So are we talking like a 3-foot cross?
Oh, no, it's ginormous.
It's like human size.
It's like 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
You can like hang off of it and stuff. Like
put a swing on it.
Is it there for pull-ups? Is it like maybe
you could like nail somebody to that thing and they could hang off of it.
You totally could.
But not through the hands though. That wouldn't support them.
So that's just science, bro. So of course the FFRF got involved, and staff attorney Rebecca Markert wrote to the city, quote, "The Latin cross is a principal symbol of Christianity around the world, and display of the cross alone could not reasonably be taken to have any secular point." Really? It's astounding to me that we have to tell people this.
And Susan would like to correct you. It's pronounced Netches.
Netches? That's what I was saying.
Okay. Just making sure.
But she also says that it's a giant lowercase t. That would have been a better argument than, oh, this is totally secular, you guys. No, it's just we're teaching. We're going to add like it's going to be an alphabet park.
Right, we just haven't got around to the other letters. It's gonna be a word. That's the T of Neches.
They don't need all the letters. They just need like the number 4, and then they can say that they're hoping to film an episode of Sesame Street there.
Okay, so a group calling itself Port Neches Christians and Advocates for the Cross at Port Neches Park. That is a really great name, you guys. They decided to have a prayer vigil in support of the cross on Sunday, and before they arrived, a local atheist group left cookies, it's very nice, and a letter at the base of the cross asking for an amicable solution to the problem. Those starry-eyed Pollyanna atheists in Port Neches, I swear, they're so cute.
What'd you say?
Amicable?
We'd be nice to them. They'll listen to us. They won't.
But what the story failed to tell you is those cookies were poison. That's not true. I just made that up.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they were very pleasant. And, I'll give them credit. I mean, we're laughing at them now because, of course, Christians do what Christians do. But I think that was a very positive and, it was a good idea.
It was kind of like cowardly though. Like, it's like, we're just going to leave it there.
Yeah, I would have shown up and delivered it to them in person. But I mean, I think most groups wouldn't have thought, hey, let's do something nice for these people while they're trying to violate our constitutional rights.
It'd be interesting to know what situation they're in. Whoever's.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Did they have like an atheist organization there?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's more than just one person.
Yeah.
But that might have just been, would an organization really decide, let's go leave? Whatever.
They did.
Anyway.
Homemade cookies.
Yeah.
Then again, if you look at the pictures, there was a crap ton of Christians there. At that,
it was.
gathering.
Were there enough cookies?
Right. If we can't all have one, then nobody gets one.
That's why they ripped that.
You're right.
Yeah.
So they ended up ripping up the letter that this nice positive letter that they sent to these Christians. That as part of the prayer vigil, they destroyed the letter. Maybe it was just that they were outraged that they only gave them a dozen cookies and there's like 100 people there.
They were fucking oatmeal raisin.
I would destroy.
Yeah, what they should have done is just prayed for them to multiply like Jesus did and then give out everybody a cookie.
Jesus, please remove the oatmeal from these bastard cookies. Transform these raisins into chocolate chips.
Transmogrify it or transubstantiate, whatever they call it.
God. So here's the funny thing. While the city lawyers are looking into the FFRF's letter and trying to determine what the legalities of this are, which they should already goddamn know, I'm just going to say. But the mayor, while they're doing that, he is alleged douchebag Glenn Johnson. He told local media, quote, "I want to make it perfectly clear to the citizens of Port Neches specifically that this mayor and this city council will not fold. It will not bend. It will not roll over. We're going to fight this all the way. And if it goes to court, then it goes to court and we'll fight it there as well." I so look forward to reading the follow-up to this story in which one of two things are going to happen. One, the city attorneys are going to go to him and say, "Dude, what are you doing? It's a cross in a public park." And then he has to tear it down. Or two, it goes to court and they make a ginormous contribution to the Freedom from Religion Foundation's coffers, and then they take it down.
But you got to commend the people. That's very brave of them to stand up against, the overwhelming pressure from America that's trying to bash down their Christian faith. So brave of them. So brave.
Ince Mike in the chat room says tearing up the letter is a pretty clear indication of their intentions. I wouldn't show up to a Christian mob for fear of being murdered. Amen. I gotta say, I would probably have been killed on the basis of my good intentions.
But we don't have a good modern day atheist martyr yet. Like, don't you want to be that guy?
Chat room, who's gonna step up and be our martyr? Who wants to go to Port Neches and sacrifice themselves upon the altar of Christianity in parks?
If this had been any other religion, like if there was a town where the majority of the religion was not Christianity, and someone decided to erect anything else besides a cross, it would not fly. Or would it?
No, hell no.
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 The Star of David? No.
Star of David might.
Maybe. Well, maybe.
They got the Judeo-Christian thing going on. But if we put the crescent and the star...
if you put the Baphomet statue there from the Satanists,
Yeah,
that's obviously not sticking around very long.
Right.
It's purely secular, though.
Christine Weick would show up, and she would say some crazy stuff. She would probably try to destroy it herself. So...
This seems to me like the ultimate litmus test for a competent lawyer. Like, if you show this to your lawyer and the lawyer doesn't say, you need to take that down, we're going to lose, then you need to fire that lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Take them off of retainer.
Inspike notes that he's gay and an atheist and that they'd hang him from a tall branch. And Susan nominates him for martyr. So, I think... Can I get a second from the chat room, please? Okay, so now let's go back to the local woman who said that if they aren't allowed to promote Jesus through the government, that they'll next destroy all of the churches. The organizer of the peaceful letter-ripping prayer vigil to which we are going to sacrifice Inspike, her name is Sheila Ackley, and Sheila went on local television to say, quote, "We stand united to fight for what our beliefs are. They're our beliefs." Way to go. They are our constitutional right to do so. Not sure that's grammatically correct, but okay. If we don't stand for it, it's no more. And it won't be. It won't be.
If only it was that easy to eradicate Christianity.
And it won't be long, and they're going to take our churches away. It's not going to be long, and they're not going to allow us to have our Bibles. And I was placed on this earth by God to fight for him, and over my dead body. And where's this Inspike guy so I can destroy him? Where the hell did they get these ideas? I mean, it's like the slippery slope fallacy where somehow fake persecution will inevitably lead to actual persecution.
I can only imagine they've seen stories like, that, like we covered way back whenever that preacher had a cop come in and arrest him that he hired to handcuff him and drag him out of the church. It's like
fake persecution.
I can only imagine they've seen stuff like that and they're like, that's totes legit. Like I totally got to make sure no one takes my Bible away now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like they invent this crap, not being able to use the government to promote your religion. And that's not persecution because no one is allowed to use the government to promote their religion. So that is what we like to call equality. That is not persecution. It's fake persecution that they're inventing. And they're saying that inevitably this is going to lead to actual persecution, which would be destroying their holy books and their stupid churches. And I don't know. Well, I probably know atheists who would advocate for that.
Probably.
But not any serious ones. Not anyone's with their heads out of their asses.
Not any with any real support behind them to make that happen.
Right.
Well, that's the problem here. We're not talking about people that have their heads out of their asses, but unfortunately they have support. How does that happen?
Yeah. Well,
I mean, there's mega churches that push this narrative. I mean, they get a crap ton of money and they have a lot of political clout.
They only get paid if people's scared.
Well, I will just say that being a persecuted minority is good for solidarity. I mean, that's one of the reasons I belong to Corpus Christi Atheists is because being down here was so uncomfortable. I'm from way up north and I was not used to the kinds of shit that goes on in small communities in South Texas. And so I had never felt the need to be a part of an atheist community until I moved down here. And now it's just like...
I was just bored.
How's that working out for you, Rev?
No, y'all are very entertaining. Very entertaining.
Were you surprised by the amount of accepted craziness that happens here?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I lived here for 6 months and I was ready to flee.
Not just that it happens, but that there's just an acceptance. People say something just completely crazy and you just can't hurt their feelings.
Yeah, well, for me, I was so desensitized to it. I lived in a small town. Everyone's opinion, it was forced on you. And if you didn't accept it, you were immediately ostracized. So at a point, I just became used to it. And then it wasn't until I joined this group and really started to evaluate a lot of the positions I held and the positions that I had been exposed to that I really saw that there was definitely a flaw in our society.
Yeah. And I've heard that from a lot of people who joined our community and have said, you know what, I didn't care as much about these issues until I joined this community. And now, like, I'm this hyper.
Yeah. Well, especially when you do see people that are negatively affected by it. And
Yeah.
like beforehand, you're just like, oh, well, yeah, I'm sure there's some atheist somewhere that is probably being negatively affected by it, but I don't know any. But you join the group and you actually see like just the amount of pain that's been caused in some people's lives. And it's like, yeah, that's not right. And somebody should stand up for them.
Sure. And I think that's why atheist communities are so important. And I think it's why it's so important to the future of this country and this world is that the more we band together, the more I think people realize and care about these issues. And so creating welcoming communities for everyone only helps us to get rid of crap like crappy people like Sheila. And I do just want to briefly say that maybe they have a point, that maybe fake persecution leads to actual persecution, because when I hear them talking about this shit, it makes me want to punch them in the face.
They really think that they are persecuted, though.
Yeah, they do.
So
Yeah. But they don't really
in their
don't
bubble.
know. Yeah.
Poking their bubble at all is persecution.
I mean, trying to say you should be equal to everyone instead of superior to everyone, to them is persecution. You know, you can't. Meanwhile, we have people in our atheist community who lose clients when people find out that they're atheists.
That's what Daryl Ray was talking about
Yeah,
when
yeah.
he came out. Yeah.
When Daryl Ray came down here, he was saying, you know, the year he released The God Virus, he was a consultant, psychology consultant for organizations. He lost 50% of his clientele in the first year. And he said if The God Virus hadn't sold so well, he would have been well and truly screwed. That's actual persecution, you know? That is actually taking bread off someone's plate for what they believe. And if that had happened to a Christian, I can't imagine the never-ending wails and shrieks and...
I feel like it happening to Christians is the only way that they're going to ever realize what they...
To walk a mile in somebody else's shoes.
Are they going to have to feel like how bad it actually is for other people before they're like, oh, you know what? Those coffee cups weren't really a thing.
But I mean, does anyone think that we're going to do anything other than just go from fake persecution whining to actual persecution whining if that ever happens?
Yeah, I mean, because it's always like, oh, we're not going to be able to put our nativity scenes up in front of our houses. It's like, no, you will always be able to put your nativity scene on your front lawn. No one gives a shit or whatever. But
well,
just
we'll still make fun of you.
Yeah, we'll still make fun of you. But, you know, there won't be a government agency that's going to
But it'll
come
be
down
legal.
And, yeah. It's only when you want to put it in front of a courthouse, and like I am represented by that courthouse, and I am not a Christian.
Yeah. When you're trying to marginalize people, then you're going to have a problem. When you're just trying to celebrate your stupid religion, have at it. I don't care. I mean, I would prefer that people not be religious. I would prefer that people adopt a reason-based epistemology rather than believing in fake things that they can't prove. But
we're also cool with Christians believing other people should believe Christianity.
Sure. Or Muslims believing in Islam, whatever. I mean, I'm not cool with it, but you have that right, and I will fight to the death for you to be able to believe whatever you want, whatever nonsense you want to believe.
Oh, maybe not to the death, but I'll
Reb's not dying for
I'll
any Christians.
definitely like argue a couple arguments for you.
I will post on Facebook about it.
I'll change my profile picture with a color to overlay.
A Christian flag. Yeah. I probably wouldn't do the Christian flag overlay. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next story, which is, this is a good segue, actually. So, in case...
Not that you've explained it.
I don't know. This week, Islamic terrorists killed a bunch of people in France and Lebanon and Kenya. Not that you really know what the last two. I'm sure the details didn't miss any of you people out there because you can't escape from it. But I thought we had... So I don't want to talk about what actually happened, but I thought we had to say something because we have a podcast and it's kind of our job. So I wanted to just talk about a couple of the things that have come out of this. The first I wanted to talk about is how we think governments should respond to these attacks by ISIS. I'll say up front, I have no idea. I can argue 3 or 4 different sides of this issue. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the reactions in the atheist community to people saying, don't pray for Paris, in response to the Pray for Paris theists who are out there. So first, if you're the president of France or the United States, what is your response to these attacks allegedly committed by ISIS?
I thought Holland actually had a pretty good response to it. Well, parts of his response. Where he wanted to go.
Not Holland, but the president.
President
Hollande.
Holland. Oh, whatever. However you say his name.
I thought you were.
I was in Holland.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. President Hollande of France.
Okay.
Or whatever. His original deal where he was talking about, going to the UN. We're gonna declare ISIS as a standing army. So now we're gonna a big coalition. Let's all go in there and actually do something about ISIS. But that quickly fell apart because Turkey said, like, we're not going to sign off on it unless you also say you're going to destroy the Kurds as well. And the Kurds are like the only good people over there.
Dude, what do we do?
Well, because Turkey hates the Kurds, so and they're part of that whole situation. They have veto power. So
Katie Scary in the chat room says, didn't France start dropping bombs? They did indeed.
They did.
Yeah, they dropped a crap ton of bombs.
So that's
Insmike is saying that those strikes had already been planned. I haven't heard that, but I
don't know
I wouldn't be
that.
surprised by that. Yeah.
But what if France was reactionary and started dropping bombs? That is exactly what you don't do. Not because you can't be decisive and defend yourself, but you can't be reactionary.
And I felt like after 9/11, despite all the really messed up crap we did, that was the original thing that even President Bush was saying was, chill. We're gonna see what we're gonna investigate, and then we're gonna react. But at the same time, ISIS has taken responsibility for these things. So I feel like there's no investigating to be done. So even if they didn't do it and they're just taking credit for it, they want to do it. They support it. So
yeah, but the being reactionary and being vengeful, what does it solve?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna kill a bunch of them, and then you've got another.
Well, I think the
5,000 kids that are going to grow up to hate you too.
Well, I think the more these countries start getting involved in the ISIS situation, I think the closer we get to potentially at least solving the smaller ISIS problem. Because, up until now, we got Russia, kind of doing their shit. They're like, oh yeah, we're only doing ISIS, but they're really just doing anti-Assad people.
Right.
You got America in there trying to do their things, but they can't overlap their airspace with Russia. Now you have France in there. So at a certain point, there's going to be so much overlap that they're going to have to start working together if any of them are going to achieve any of their goals. So
like diplomacy.
I don't know how much diplomacy that we're going to be able to achieve with ISIS though. I don't know if that's realistic.
It's not that kind of fight.
I'm kind of going a little bit with what Ryan was saying, because I feel like if we continue to do this thing, they did a thing to us, so we're going to do a thing to them. And then they're going to say, well, you did this thing to us, so we're going to do this thing to them. Because, I mean, the reason that ISIS gave for killing all these people was that France had been dropping bombs on them, and they don't like exploding, which I can understand. So on the one hand, we've been doing this for millennia, doing this, retaliate thing. And it hasn't really solved much. On the other hand, I don't see really any other options. I don't think that negotiating with a group like this is going to result in anything. And even if it did result in, okay, we're going to stop blowing you up and you stop blowing us up, ISIS is a group that believes in killing people, raping people,
enslaving people,
throwing gay people off buildings. And I also feel that we have a moral responsibility to step in when we see those things happen. I feel like if Oklahoma came into Texas and was throwing my friends off buildings and enslaving my family and, killing people for no good reason.
Those fucking Oklahomans.
Seriously, they're crazy. And I would hope that Louisiana would step in. Oh, maybe not Louisiana. Maybe some frou-frou people from New York could come down here and kick their butts for us.
Right. So, but would you be content with Louisiana or Colorado indiscriminately carpet bombing Oklahoma City, even though the people that were doing the terrible things were just north of Dallas?
I would be okay with carpet bombing Oklahoma City just like right now.
Like they haven't even done any of
God
that.
at atheistairwaves.com.
Please send me your hate mail.
Because ISIS recruits, the way they get more people, because they have a really high mortality rate.
Yeah, I do.
But the way they get more people is they have a nearly limitless supply of people whose families and lives have been affected through our aggressive wars in the Middle East. So if you continue to create a supply of these kids who were 5 years old when their dad was killed and their mom was killed and their grandparents were maimed in a bomb.
Sure.
And I think that's speaks to the refugee problem, is we can't be turning them away, especially we just had 26 out of 27 states ran by Republican governors said, like, we are not going to accept Syrian refugees.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they will, but they've already, and it's great. Like that, like one bombing's not good, but the refugees that are trying to escape, they're trying to get away from that devastation. If you don't provide them with a safe place to go to, they will radicalize eventually because they have no one else to turn to for protection but the terrorists themselves. So that I think also being on the compassionate side.
Okay, so we've talked about what you shouldn't do. What do you do? I mean, how do you respond to this? Because you have to have a response, right? I mean, you have to do something.
Okay, so you don't have to hold the people of Syria responsible or the refugees from Syria responsible for what a dozen people carry out. You can hold responsible the people that did it, the organization that they belong to, and that orders them to do that, and that's fine, and I understand that. But we're not fighting a war with a country with borders that has a standing army.
Yes, we kind of are.
They've gotten to a point where they kind of do have.
Okay,
their own
they're
sense.
getting to the point
there
that's
are
all right.
there are borders there. There is a defined area that they control. They have a standing army
that they control, but we're not talking. Just so you know, just like we're talking
They're
about
losing ground,
conquered
by the way.
territory.
Oh, because we're dropping bombs on them.
Yeah. But we're talking conquered territory. These aren't like a bunch of
Right.
Americans who live in America, so you bomb America.
So until they get rid of Assad, they're not real?
No, I'm not saying they're not real. I'm saying that conventional warfare isn't working.
But that's what they're doing. And like Leslie was just saying, they've lost ground, and it's because of conventional warfare.
And they've been consistently losing ground over time. They'll gain some, they'll lose some, but they've been shrinking.
Have they less ground than they did 2 years ago
Yes,
when
they-
nobody knew who the fuck they
no,
were?
No.
Oh, well, yeah.
So I went back 2 years, so that might have been
from
unfair.
their insurgency, they have been shrinking since then.
Okay. So ISIS is losing, so it's kind of working.
Their loss is inevitable. ISIS as a group will not be able to sustain itself forever.
Okay.
It's just not going to.
So,
and what's eventually going to have to happen is you're going to have negotiations with America, France, Russia, all these different bigger, larger states are going to have to come together and say, here's going to be our plan going forward. We'll wipe them out. It's going to leave the whole place in shambles. It's going to be a whole mess. And then there's going to be a whole bunch of governments saying, like, here's what we want to set up our new government here. And people are going to try to install their own people. And that whole cycle is just going to continue over and over again. But ISIS, as its current incarnation, the caliphate they're trying to set up, that's not going to last. But once it's gone, it's just going to still be more turmoil.
So even by what you just said, like, we're not dealing with the solution. We're dealing with, well, this is what you do next, and then you deal with what's left over. Because we're not talking about ISIS. We're talking about Al-Qaeda 2.0. We're just the leftovers that turned into something because you can't strictly define it. And
technically, you're dealing with the Baathists from the Iraq situation.
Right, that because Al Qaeda actually wasn't in Iraq, but we made sure that they were. Yeah. So, and I lament the fact that we no longer have the intelligence and the 60s, the 50s spies that would actually assassinate the worst of the worst people. I lament not having people and ways like we don't gather intelligence that way anymore.
But
wait. Because
those weren't solutions
we,
either.
Wait, don't we though? Because I mean, we just dropped a bomb on Jihadi John's forehead, and I mean, so aren't we doing that? Aren't we assassinating people? And does it help at all?
That wasn't an assassination. That was
a total assassination.
We killed one guy, and how many more people were killed and injured?
Well, here's what I want to
Okay, I'm not familiar with
the policies of the 50s and 60s.
Did they work?
No, they didn't work. Obviously, we're still in the same position we are today.
So this is where I am, because I am damn tired of killing people all over the planet. I'm tired of us dropping bombs on people, but I don't see an alternative, because I mean, you could try. So ISIS makes over $50 million a month selling oil and artifacts to Hobby Lobby. So the question I ask myself is, what kind of asshole would buy oil? We know what kind of asshole would buy artifacts from ISIS, Hobby Lobby. What kind of asshole would buy oil from these guys and give them $50 million a month?
Iran, probably.
No. I thought for sure it was going to be us. I thought for sure when I asked myself this question this week, it was going to be we're buying it through the market and it's just all being poured there and whatever. And it's not. What ISIS is doing is they are selling it to Iraqis and Syrians. They initially tried to cut out the locals by having mobile refining spots and, maximizing their profits that way until we blew them all to hell. Dropped a whole bunch of bombs on those things. And so then what they've done is they've absorbed, and Katie Scary in the chat room was kind of talking about this a little bit just a second ago. They've kind of gone into communities. They've gone to the refineries and they've set up the locals who were already working there as front people, and they're just splitting the profits with them so that they can keep doing their thing, but then they can bring in the money. And they're selling it to the local markets where they were already doing it. And so you can't even really target the refineries, because then you're targeting the people. And, you can't even target the markets, because then you're going to target the people. And just imagine what would happen in our city if you couldn't get gas anymore. I mean, people would die for sure. And so, I mean, I don't know that it matters to me if I'm going to die, if it matters to me whether it's going to be a bomb or starvation. And so I don't see any positive ways to respond to this that prevents people from dying.
Well, war is ugly, I guess, right?
War is hell.
So I've seen, those really, really great things, Facebook memes about education, that you kill terrorists with guns and terrorism with education kind of stuff, which really sound awesome.
Or if you're Bernie Sanders, you cure it by solving global warming. So there's always that.
Right. So
he did try to connect the two.
Yeah. I've heard him. That's not the first time he said that.
No, there's valid logical points there,
but Reb's gonna poke fun at him,
because it sounds funny. It sounds funny.
And see, the thing is, like, we can fix them being able to sell their oil. We've had the technology to not need oil for the last decade or so, where if we would just invest in that instead, we wouldn't need oil anymore. But we haven't moved over yet, and I don't think people are willing to make certain small sacrifices in order to help people halfway around the globe.
Well, I mean, it's a bit more than a small sacrifice, but I don't know what the solution is.
Okay, the planet sucks. Let's just
the planet sucks, and we cannot. We are not we cannot fix all of the problems.
Right.
We can't.
I thought I was going to cap it, but but I mean, if women are being killed for having sex with men, if people are being executed for being gay, don't we have a responsibility to have some response?
So what does that come from?
Where does what come from?
Why do they want to kill gays, or why do they see women as
Islam?
Yeah. That's a majority opinion.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where the problem lies.
Well, so how do you fight that?
You fight the ideas.
And we don't have enough resources to intercede on every single country, on every single person's behalf. So I think
it's funny that we only have the money, it seems, to do that when it's, an oil country or whatever.
It's unfortunate. I mean, but the resources just aren't there.
I'm just saying, like, if my friends and family were being systematically executed for being who they are, for being atheists, for being apostates, for being gay, for being whatever, it would be it would not be comforting to say, we can't solve all the problems and we really just have to educate.
I think
right, but that we're talking about within our own society, not other people's societies.
But I don't.
I think the least we could do is, if you are a persecuted minority, at the very least, we can make sure our borders are open to you. Mm-hmm. If you need asylum because you're being persecuted, and pressuring your lawmakers to accept them willingly with open arms and to set up the programs that are necessary to keep them safe and accommodated.
I don't think we're gonna solve this problem here, but I think that's a really good point to.
I think that's the least you can do.
I think that's a good thing we can do. And
yeah, like every 6-year-old little kid that you accept as a refugee is one that potentially isn't going to be a terrorist in 12 years.
And maybe can be a former Muslim who can then, So, like I said, I don't think we're going to solve the problem tonight, but I think that's a good note to end on. So let's move on to a less bloody topic. Many theists were running around screaming, "Pray for Paris," after the attacks, like they do. And because no one wants to pray for Lebanon or Kenya, and some atheists were responding, "Hey, how about we don't pray for Paris because prayer does absolutely nothing," and or it was praying people who caused this whole damn thing, and or which God should we be praying to? The God who wanted this to happen or the God who did nothing to stop it? And then there were some other atheists who were upset that these atheists were either, one, using a tragedy to promote atheism, or two, tearing down a thing that they felt gave people comfort during tragedies or promoted solidarity. Did you guys see any of that, and how did you feel about it?
I saw a lot of it, but like seeing the pray for Paris stuff, like from the religious, I mean, it's wasted effort, but for the most part it's a wasted click on Facebook, so it didn't really I don't care all that much. The atheist response to it with the "Hey, don't stop doing that," I feel like potentially it could give atheism and atheists a negative kind of vibe.
And that would be bad because we don't want that to happen.
No, we don't have that happen at all.
I know it's a fine line between, what is, like, yes, of course, people are going to look at us already and say, like, "Ugh, atheists." But I don't know. I feel like something like this, it's not absolutely necessary. I think it's good to, like, if you're in a one-on-one kind of thing, hey, like, maybe we shouldn't pray. Maybe we should do something. But I don't know. I think a meme doesn't quite address the full aspects of what you're trying to say.
Even if we're talking about a full-blown conversation, and I feel like this is the real problem with atheism, and not like an actual problem, but this is the predicament that atheists find themselves in, is that our religious beliefs are predicated upon other people's religious beliefs. They're not their own thing. Atheists wouldn't exist if there weren't
any religions.
Right. And so if we just talk about a level playing field, what we're talking about is Christians and others expressing their religious beliefs and then opposing when atheists do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it reminds me...
It's an expression of our religious beliefs as a whole, that praying is dumb. You should just do something.
Do that.
physical instead to support it.
I don't have a personal problem with somebody praying. I have a problem if the only thing they do is pray. Like if
which is probably the case.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like I did anything for France either. I didn't even change my Facebook profile picture. So
good.
We can talk about that too. But although I will say this, I did not. Did anyone here change their profile picture to the France thing?
Nope.
No.
I did.
Sorry. Do you want me to pretend like I did? I totally did. I totally did.
No, I didn't either. And I have reasons we can get into that. But
mine was just pure laziness. That's the only reason. That's like I don't feel like pressing the button that does it automatically for me.
Reb couldn't find the link.
There are dead people, and Reb's just like, but I've got this soda.
I don't want to waste my bandwidth. I only got like gigabytes of it.
But I feel like even just doing that is doing something. Because I feel that solidarity and public opinion and changing public opinion and gathering public support for a thing is necessary and positive.
Sure. And showing support for somebody at some point down the road might help somebody.
I would counter that though, because like a lot of people change their picture to the flag colors. And some of them are like, oh, yeah, we should, refugees, all nice. And then those other half is like, turn them all to glass. So what, I mean, it's good to support France, but that just changing your profile picture doesn't actually say how or what form your support's taking.
I saw those arguments and I couldn't tell who was talking to each other because everybody had the same goddamn French flag for a profile picture. Yeah, your French flag on your profile picture doesn't make you a good person, that's for sure.
/Nick in the chat room says that he did change his profile picture, but he likes to start arguments. I do want to make it clear that I'm not saying you're a bad person if you did. I think most of our local atheist community actually did.
I don't mind it. I think that there's an important conversation that should go along with that, though.
Yeah. But I feel like I can have that important conversation without changing my profile photo.
Here's the thing.
Why didn't you change yours?
I did not change mine because there were attacks in other places on the same day. And so let me phrase it this way. So a lot of the atheists who I heard opposing the Don't Pray for Paris thing were saying, oh, this is just a way for theists. Theists are saying I'm praying for them, and that's a way for them to show solidarity and create that solidarity. But that is divisive. It doesn't include a lot of people. It doesn't include me. It doesn't include the 44% of French people who in a 2004 study said they don't believe in God. That's an awful lot of people to be excluding from your solidarity message. And so I think the flag thing is 100% unified and solid, and it's a great message of solidarity for the people of France. But it forgets the people who died in, say,
just
Lebanon.
A day before. Yeah, there's entire school of girls that just got slaughtered. What was it?
Lebanon, there were just some explosions that took place and killed people.
Suicide
bombings, yeah. And no one is showing solidarity for them, which is why I was just like,
There's 43 that died.
And so.
But France is our oldest and greatest ally.
Right. But I mean, so if the problem's religion, we don't need to be fixing it with more religion. And I think we need to figure out how to stop the pray for everything.
Yeah.
And I know alliteration played into this one, though.
Sure. And actually, it's a really good point. I know. I really didn't even think of that until just now. And now,
I hate people now.
What's the alliteration?
To be fair,
for Paris.
Well, it's close. It's
Yeah, I hated people anyway, but I just hate them a little bit more now.
Yeah, and that's a good point. But
So the argument for I don't know. Did you hear maybe who was it? Colbert. I didn't listen to whatever his intro audio was supposed to be about it, but talking about how not the flag overlays, but just how people showing solidarity and the human connection is a good thing, and even though people are focusing more on Paris than on Beirut or something.
Sure.
But
and a little bit, I think what plays into it is that you don't expect this to happen in Paris, but you totally expect shit like this to go down in Beirut.
And but do you?
Yeah, I mean,
Well, it's a place that doesn't have white people in it, so
Right.
thus we think,
No,
of
but
course that should happen. Some not white.
I mean,
people.
things have happened in Lebanon, but what has happened recently that would make us think?
violence happens in Lebanon a lot.
But
More than the U.S.
Well, I mean,
you want to talk about guns? We can talk about guns.
Certainly
now.
more terroristic violence happens than in France.
Okay.
absolutely, that's
So
true.
I'll tell you my problem with the flag overlays. I saw a couple people, like more than one, that I know for a fact were the same people that insisted on calling French fries freedom fries about a decade ago.
Yeah.
And now they have a French flag on their profile picture. Fuck you. Fuck you.
Well, just because you
It feels
disagreed
very
with
fake.
somebody, a couple years ago, doesn't mean you can't support
Yeah.
them now.
And that was because they didn't. France didn't support the
Our
Iraq
invasion,
right?
Right.
And they were very, very distressed that the cooked up. Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm
they were really
sorry.
worried that we were going to go into Iraq and create a whole bunch of turmoil. And
Like maybe a group
was-
like ISIS could emerge.
It was
and
completely
kill
unfounded.
people.
Yeah.
Completely unfounded.
yeah, and now they're dealing with the repercussions of that. Fuck you.
I don't know. Like there's besides the human connection, we know more about Paris. We know more about France. There are allies. I know there are a lot of reasons for people to maybe be more concerned with France and something that happened somewhere else. But we know that things are happening in other places, despite the fact that it's like a human, tendency just to care more about the things that are closer
People
to
who are
us.
closer to us. yeah.
Right. Besides that, we know that that's something that humans do. But we have the data and knowledge that it happens in other places despite that. And I think that we should morally start considering other places.
Yeah, I
Like
agree.
we should be able to fight those tendencies. It's great or anything, show solidarity, but realize where your biases are.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that, again, I want to stress that I'm not saying people who did that, because it's the majority of our local community.
Right. Yeah, I'm
are bad
okay that
people.
people did that. It was just,
I didn't want to participate because I agree with you. I think that it's important to consider those things. So I just want to say that if you're one of those people who have a French flag on your, don't get mad. You can totally keep it.
And we support you doing that. Solidarity is great,
Yep.
especially when something like this happens. People need to come out and show their support.
What would be even more great is if you didn't give a fuck what we thought about it.
No. You should really care about everything.
Mike.
What button?
He
is
can't
it?
mute me. It's go. It's gonna.
Oh, I
go.
know.
You can't do it this time.
Because we're going USB. I can't even mute anyone.
I'll unplug him.
Oh, I can do that. Okay. Thank you for that solution. That was that was great.
And in fact, you should support us so much. You should pay us $1 for the post-show content.
Corpus Christi Atheist meets every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. This weekend we will be meeting at Executive Surf Club downtown. We're also going to be doing a cleanup at our adopted park, Oak Park. If you don't know where either of those places are, please visit ccatheist.com for a list of our public events. If you're interested in connecting with our affiliates, visit southtexascor.com to connect with any of our sister organizations. So I'll plug Ryan back in. You're on probation, though.
Oh man, you broke me.
I broke you. I totally did. That's not good.
Uh-oh.
You just fucked it.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's back, and I'm like halfway happy, and then like,
we'll see.
the equipment's working, but Ryan's back.
Yeah, and Mike was like, "Be careful, you might break the stream. It's fragile."
Oh, he knows our show too well. All right. So the next thing we wanted to talk about was an appearance that Bill Maher made on Stephen Colbert's show.
Significantly more lighthearted.
Yeah, thank God. Significantly
FSM.
more lighthearted.
I broke you.
You broke me.
I'm sorry.
I really wish you could come up with what you're talking about.
So
I can't do that thing.
Your vocal fry needs some work.
Yeah.
You continue, Ferris. What
Go
you were going
ahead.
to say?
I did want to say that for those of you who are out there who are unaware, Colbert is a Catholic. Not sure if you
I
knew
like
that.
how you needed to throw that out before anyone else told you.
I know, right?
fucker.
I had to get it before. I was like, stop talking so I can say it before the fucking chat room gets on it. So Stephen Colbert is a Catholic. He teaches Sunday school. Bill Maher came on his show this week, and
What was Stephen Hawking like? What was
probably
it? A
just
new
his
book or just a show?
Show, yeah.
or a stand-up. I don't know. I didn't watch the whole thing. I only watched this part.
They didn't. I watched the whole thing.
They didn't
Which
hawk
it was worth.
anything.
It was worth watching the whole thing and not just the clip about religion. Anyway.
But Colbert, and it's a lighthearted segment. It's not at all, which is a relief after what we just finished talking about. But basically, Colbert was like, "Well, why don't you be a Catholic with me?" And so I thought we'd just listen to it a little bit and see, because it also reminded me a little bit of some of the goddamn conversations I have with my family. Or friends.
Oh yeah,
and
that whole thing
acquaintances.
I felt like that whole thing just symbolized the ongoing issues that we have as atheists.
Yeah, I agree. So can you just play that and then be ready to pause it as we go through?
Okay.
Bill, they say at a dinner party you should never talk about sex, politics, or religion. Have you ever been invited to a dinner party in your life? Are there things you won't talk about?
I probably wouldn't be invited to your dinner party because we're very opposite, right?
Really? How so?
Well, like,
How are we opposite? Really?
you're married and religious.
Yeah, I'm married and I give religion a shot. Yeah, I give it a shot.
Oh, I thought you were a practicing Catholic.
I am. Doesn't mean I'm good at it. I'm not. Honest to God.
Yeah.
I suck.
And he kind of makes up, because when you listen to Colbert talk about certain things, so he tends to take a somewhat anti-religious aspect on
Yeah, he
Sure.
things very often.
During this whole thing, I was like, is he really a Catholic?
Yeah.
Is he really?
I mean, some people are completely shocked when they learn that he's a Catholic.
Yeah, it's like I would have assumed he was an atheist
Yeah.
because he shits on religion so often.
It's so reasonable for you to assume that he's an atheist. I just want to say that right now. That's so reasonable. But I do kind of feel after listening to this entire clip, what I really felt like was Stephen Colbert is a cultural Catholic. He's not a believer. He's someone who enjoys the ritual, the boring songs and rituals. And I don't get the impression that he's an actual believer.
And I would assume, because he's had some turmoil in his life with having, I think,
that ear problem.
Quite a
which
few.
bothers me.
We had two brothers, and his dad died in a car wreck at some point. So I'd assume, I don't remember the exact details surrounding it, but I would assume getting through that turmoil in his life, probably the church was a big part of that. And so that probably keeps him connected to the community.
I did not know that. But yeah,
Yeah, because he comes from like a family of like 11 kids and like.
oh, well, then you could afford to lose a few, right?
Right.
Well, yeah, so,
Statistically speaking, some of them are going to die in a car crash.
but yeah, but it was like in the same day, it was like, two brothers and his dad, and it was, it was all.
Got it.
Thank you.
As a Catholic doesn't mean I don't keep going to church. You were raised Catholic, right?
I was raised Catholic.
Come on back, Bill. The door is always open. Golden ticket right before you. All you have to do is humble yourself before the presence of the Lord. Admit there are things greater than you in the universe that you do not understand, and salvation awaits you. Take Pascal's wager.
And he said Pascal's wager.
The fact that he even called it that, though,
Yeah,
that's one of those things. It's
Tongue in cheek. He knows what he's saying.
Oh,
right. He knows it's bullshit.
I agree. He totally knows it's all bullshit.
But just if you listen to that, he says, come back, golden ticket, you get to go to heaven or whatever. And did you hear the people applauding?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was a smattering. It wasn't.
Sure, but it's Stephen Colbert. The entire audience, they're all atheists. And so there's like 5 Christians like, yay!
How are they again?
I don't know. We're on delay on the video, so you just wait. It'll come around.
Oh, the video looks really funny. If you're listening to the audio, find the video of him clapping. It looks funny.
But I mean, that is not...
There goes.
Yeah, there it goes. All right. So, but I mean, you go anywhere else in this country, and you're not going to find a place where there's like 500 atheists and 5 Christians. It's much the opposite, which is why I'm just saying, like, what Stephen Colbert is saying, I have experienced people actually telling me this in my family at family functions.
But they don't call it Pascal's wager.
No, they don't.
They don't call it by what it is.
Because they're real Christians and not and not cultural Christians.
Right.
Salvation awaits you. Take Pascal's wager. If you're wrong, you're an idiot. But if I'm right, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
That is super hilarious.
Well, I like how he just steals it down. It's a very easily understood concept. It's easier to argue against that way.
Well, what I don't like is that I get the impression that Stephen Colbert is joking through this entire thing. I don't think he's serious at all. At the same time, it's really just word for word what people in my family have told me. And
is that the bit though? Is that what is he doing the bit?
I think even if he's doing a bit, and I'm not convinced 100% that he is, but even if he is, you've got the Christians. I'll do the clapping again. I want to. You've got the Christians in the audience who are like, yes, that. And that is the common Christian response to these kinds of arguments. Yes, you're going to hell. Stop doing that.
I would hope a couple of the Christians in the audience would do I'm not sure if totally serious, but okay, just in case. Like,
no, those people are not going to be doing the clapping at all. They're going to be.
Are sure that the clap sign wasn't up and everyone was just forced to clap because they had to.
Like 5 people. Okay.
I do admit there are things in the universe I don't understand.
Thank you.
But my response to that is not to make up silly stories.
Thank you.
They're pretty good stories. Some of them are pretty good stories,
Or
Bill.
to believe intellectually embarrassing myths from the Bronze Age, but you believe whatever you want.
So I just want to note here that Bill Maher has just in a sentence displayed more tolerance for Stephen Colbert than Stephen Colbert has displayed for Bill Maher.
Or at least the character that he's sort of portraying. Yeah.
Whether he's serious or not. And like I said, if you just listen to people clapping,
Well, people clapped for Bill Maher too.
Yeah, because they're atheists. It's a room full of atheists with 5 Christians. But that's not, the people at home are 70% Christian. And they are sitting there saying, yeah, yay.
Yup, that's right.
Do you think they stand up
right
in front of their
point.
TiVo?
Yeah, I do. And I think that Moses is going to come back and smash tablets because they're worshiping their golden TiVo.
Right, and they're probably sharing this on their Christian podcast, being like, "Look at this great message that Colbert's spreading."
I guarantee you. I think
Car.
it's been a long time since that's happened. I really feel like we're the only ones who are going to understand that this is a joke. That most of the 70% of Americans who are Christians are going to say, "Oh yeah, he's telling them.
And never read the comments, but I break my own rules. The YouTube comments, there were actually people who thought that, wow, this was really tense between the two of them. Like, this is a tense conversation for them.
But there were the whole video, like not just that clip, the whole thing. There was a little bit of tenseness
Was there?
But yeah, because Bill Maher pulled up that Colbert used to be a Republican and that he probably voted for Nixon, and no, like the entire thing is worth watching. But yeah, Maher takes jabs at him the whole time.
Ince Mike says he doesn't like Bill Maher.
I don't either.
I can get on board that train. Like anybody, there are things that he says that there are things he does that I like and things that he says that I don't like. Bill Maher kind of says a lot more things that I don't like than anything else. Someone else says something that but the television went blank. Katie Scary says, I don't think a lot of Christians are watching Colbert. He tends probably to be too left for them. However, I don't want to say that left people, even though we talked last week about
maybe
how
fundamentalist Christians, or like
sure, but I think even
conservative.
a lot of my family are liberal Christians, and they're still like this. You know, this isn't a right-wing thing. This is a Christian thing. There are plenty of Christians that I know who are very supportive of me as an atheist, who are very supportive of our community. But there are plenty of left-wing liberal Christians who are total dicks on the religion question.
I don't know. I have noticed it seems from the couple episodes I've seen of the new Colbert show, like he had Bush on at one point, and he seemed extremely complimentary to him, whereas I think his alter ego from the Colbert Report would have been a bit more scathing towards him. So I felt like he's I don't know if maybe that's just the show just started and he needed to be nice to guests to get him back on. And
I also want to just say, because Katie Scary in the chat
wasn't nice to Trump.
Katie Scary was just saying, you know, if you've watched Colbert for any amount of time, you get his shtick. Mm-hmm. For the vast majority of his time, he's been playing a character, and he's no longer doing that. So I want to draw a distinction between the Colbert Report, which is.
But he'll jump back to that, for the Trump interview. He jumped right back into that alter ego.
I've watched quite a few of them. He does do it. Like he slips.
It's not as often, but he still goes back to the character.
Do you think that that's just habit?
It had. I mean, after doing that show for 9-10 years,
yeah.
Long. I mean, a little piece of that has to stick with you. I think. I don't know how far you can get away from.
You can't just turn it off.
He might not know how to get some laughs. Like there might be laughs out there that he doesn't know how to get unless he does that.
Could be. All right, let's finish the clip.
Well, yeah, I mean, I have a connection to our ancestors because
Sure.
Yeah, sure. I have a
Because, you know, these were men who did not know what a germ or an atom was or where the sun went at night, and that's where you're getting your wisdom. Anyway, let's not argue.
I can eat a big bowl of this. This is good. It's tasty. You see, my religion teaches me humility in the face of this kind of attack.
I see. You brought it up.
No, I did not bring anything up.
Well, you gave me a big lecture on come back to the church.
I did not give it. I gave you an invitation.
I wasn't supposed to stop.
A lecture. It's an invitation. What are you talking about? This guy gave me a huge lecture about going to dinner.
Yeah, I do like his whole deal where it's like, you gave me a lecture. He's like, no, I did. I gave you an invitation. But it's like, no. Prostrate yourself before God. Accept that you're meaningless in the universe. No,
be humble before him.
Yeah, that's an invitation. Yeah, that's kind of I think that's how most Christians probably look at their proselytization. It's like, no, it's not a lecture. It's just I just want you. I want to save you. I want to invite you back to the church.
That's how they get kids too, is to get them to go to their little Christian play group things, and it's just an invitation to come play.
Yeah, it's pizza and Rice Krispie treats and like 30 minutes of
It's vacation Bible school.
I really do wish that the stress was on the vacation part. It's really not. All right.
I'll eat what I want, thank you. I'll eat what I want. Italian food. How dare you?
I've had more inviting invitations, but okay.
I think we should have a laugh track on the show. I think that would be great.
We kind of do already, only it's us hilariously laughing at what we say. All right, let's move on to the next story. Becky Pierce and April Hoagland are a married couple with 2 children. They decided to take in a foster child earlier this year and then decided to adopt the 9-month-old girl, which is where Utah Judge Scott Johansson came in. Judge Johansson is allegedly a giant douchebag. In his ruling in the adoption proceedings, he ordered that the baby be removed from the parents' home and put back into foster care with a heterosexual couple because research that he's seen shows that having a gay couple as parents makes you crazy. Isn't that nice? I am so certain that the research that he's talking about is that giant dildo out of UT Austin here in Texas who was humiliated in court as a professional witness and has had his research completely discredited. And this is just a testament to not only how hateful and stupid people can be, but how just absolutely contagious lies are.
the lie spreads in a minute and the truth, or well, I don't know what that saying is. Does anybody know that saying?
Ince Mike says it's the Regner study. Thank you.
Yeah. So, but this guy's actually denounced his own research. Like he's even said at this point, like that's not what my study was about, if I'm not mistaken. Like I wasn't studying the results of children from same-sex couples. I was studying the effects on people based on their parents' sexual activities, and it had nothing to do with like their parent figures in their lives. It was, was daddy running off and doing whatever he wanted with other guys because he was hiding that he was gay and that sort of thing. And that can be really damaging to children. So,
and that's really directly related to Christianity and the shame that they try to put on being a gay person.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that. The best thing that you can do is try to pretend that you're straight and go pray the gay away and whatever. So unsurprisingly, people and advocacy groups across the country rose up as one to say, what the hell is this? And surprisingly, though, they were joined by Utah's Republican governor who said, yeah, I know we are supposed to hate gay people, but there's still this thing called the law, which is also surprising for a Republican governor, given our own governors.
And that the governor's been openly against gay marriage and everything else.
Yeah.
So it's way surprising that like he came down on the right side of this.
I mean,
Like actually following the law.
Yeah.
What?
this is Utah. Can you get more anti-gay than Utah?
Probably.
Not in
Yes.
this country.
No, like I mean, maybe Russia or something,
Africa.
or Africa, certain countries, but not around here. Like Utah, like you hear that and you're like, oh, check your genitals.
Whip out your magic underwear.
So the judge has now edited his ruling to remove the bigotry and misinformation, and he has forwarded them on to a new hearing in December where they're going to actually decide what is in the best interest of the child. But this is really scary.
I don't know.
You don't know if it's scary?
Well, I mean, I know that it's scary. Like what's happening with them, and I'm sure the system's working. I mean, you think
Yeah.
judges have probably been getting away with this kind of shit forever, right? We're at a point now where people don't stand for it.
We have Facebook
Yeah, there's
and,
so
and Twitter.
so we still have progress.
Well, I think a lot of the you always hear it was like, well, way back when, no one cared about all this stuff as much. It's like, no, people cared just as much as they used to. It's just now everyone has a bigger forum that they can spread that idea on. We do have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have news that's become a bit more democratized. So I think when people, look at that and they say like everything's gotten worse and everyone's being more politically correct and everything like that, it's because it's just more visible now. You can see it in your everyday life.
So for those of us poo-pooing the French flags, like Facebook and Twitter actually do have a purpose.
No. That was not at all.
I know. I was
Okay.
making a joke.
Okay, but I just
Well,
want
was it funny?
Fuck you, Reb. But no, like Facebook and Twitter, that like this was social outcry that made this get fixed. Is this how case law works? Like, can he just change what he said?
I know, right? He just edited the document and was like,
But I mean, that's what I'm saying. Those are the things that have always happened, and now we can see, even like that, even editing. There's a lot more visibility with them.
And the other thing that kind of aggravates me, you always hear this like, oh, well, I don't need to refer to the experts on this stuff because what do the experts know? This is what the Bible says or whatever. But yet, this guy was perfectly willing to refer to an expert about some crappy study that was made that showed that gay people weren't good parents. And you can't have it both ways.
But that's entirely what they do over and over again. I had a conversation with an idiot today who basically said, I have my sources for why Barack Obama is a Muslim, and you have your sources saying that my sources are wrong, and so we're both doing the same thing. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. There are source and information evaluation are important skills to have. And you can tell the difference between a true thing and a false thing in most common cases. And it's just far too freaking common for people to say, oh, what are you going to do?
I actually think, and this is an entirely different discussion, I think it should be required course material for like junior high.
Well, they do kind of like
yeah, they tell them they can't use Wikipedia as a source, which actually isn't.
That's not a good idea.
That's not a good idea because a lot of Wikipedia is sourced.
Right. They're teaching them like the dumb version of source evaluation, because I get this all the time from very stupid people. It's like, oh, you can't use Wikipedia. Right. It's like, actually, Wikipedia is a very good source.
It's not how to evaluate, like, first things first, does this agree with you too much? Are you agreeing with it because it conforms to your ideas? Like individual source evaluation, not it's from this website, so it's no good. Like that, any idiot can do that. I mean, we know stuff from theblaze.com is shit. That's simple.
I feel like what our children are being taught is dumb source evaluation, not actual critical thinking skills. That Wikipedia has been shown to be very, very accurate. In addition, Wikipedia is a great place to start because, as you noted, it's freaking sourced, and you can go to the original.
Yeah, scroll down to the bottom page. That little text you just scroll by.
All the footnotes.
You know what I think one of the big issues with that is, like, just people not knowing how to evaluate sources is because they're not really being taught that in schools. I'm sure there's some schools where it's fine, but I think probably most teachers haven't had some kind of extensive course in how to evaluate sources themselves. So there's no passing along how to evaluate things because
I know when I was back,
not enough people know how to do it. Now with data now, they still remember how to source things with, books and everything.
Did it come from an Encyclopedia Britannica, then it's probably reliable.
Yeah, but evaluating an online source is just not something that's taught.
And probably when they did learn about online sources, they probably taught, if you get it from GeoCities, it's probably not a valid source or whatever. If you remember GeoCities.
In fact, I do. How old are you, Red? Because it seems
like you're not old enough to remember GeoCities.
Yeah. I remember GeoCities. I had a GeoCity. What are you talking about? Who didn't have a GeoCity?
All right. Before we move on, I want to remind everyone of upcoming events we have here in Corpus Christi. Really, the only thing really coming up is the homeless giveaway on December 24th because fuck Christmas, we don't celebrate it. You're welcome. So go to Facebook, search for Atheists Helping Humanity, which is our local homeless help group. And there is a Amazon wish list, so if you want to donate things that way, you can do it that way. If you want to donate money, let us know, and we can...
A Google document that has a list of all the current supplies, so you can see what gaps are there if you want to.
And if you are here locally, you can come out on December 24th, because are you really going to be celebrating Christmas? You might be. I will be, but I'm going to come, because... that's what I do.
It's during the afternoon, too, so it's not like at night, Christmas Eve or whatever.
Right. So come out, hand things out. It's really sobering? It was sobering. It was a moving event for me the last time we did this, and you really need to meet these people. So there's that. If you would like to get access to our post-show content when it happens, and I think we've been up all night so far, so good. Patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves. Thank you to everyone. What? Okay, whatever. Thank you to everyone who's been signing up to donate to our show. We appreciate it. And I swear, I think we've got, I can't even say it again, because I always say, I think we've got all these technical difficulties figured out. I think we do this time, but I say that every time.
It just depends on if you want to end up changing how things are running to each other.
I just want things to work.
Yeah. I think the key to today's success was that we moved away from Apple.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that is it. It's not moving away from Apple, because we did this show for 2 years strong with Apple. It's this El Capitan bullshit. It's go to hell, Red. That's all. All right. We actually don't have much time left. So let's
Got
see.
enough
What do we
for
want to talk about?
one more.
Probably a couple.
Do you want to talk about abusing wives and children, or just abusing children?
Why don't we talk about wives and children?
Okay.
You want to do that?
Let's see. Why? Let me scroll down.
I want to get rid of the just not just children. I want to get to the wives thing.
Okay. So, kind of threw me off here. Now, Republicans in the state of Georgia are set to pass their version of the Religious Freedom Restoration Act. If you don't know what those are, they are...
You're better off.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you. They are...
Sorry.
They're a misnomer of a bill that seeks to allow discrimination based on religious reasons. So saying that you can discriminate against somebody if your religion says that you can discriminate against them. So Georgia's version of the law states that the laws that are secular in nature may actually burden religious people in their exercise of religion. So non-religious laws might actually hurt religious people. And it goes on to say that religious exercise, that's the expressing of your religion that is protected under this law, doesn't necessarily have to come from any centralized dogma or religion. So you can make it up as you go.
Right. You can make up your own damn religion, and you'll be totally fine. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So I believe we're going to see the law of unintended circumstances with these laws, because even conservative district attorneys in Georgia are saying that this law will open loopholes, as you said, for things like spousal and child abuse, because
they've already tried to use it for that.
Yeah, my previous story that we just cut, somebody tried to use this, even though they were a little too early, to justify abusing women and children because their religion says when
spare the rod,
yeah,
spoil the child. Women should be obedient.
I feel like we need to, when we're talking about these these laws, that we come up with a phrase that's more accurate than anything having to do with religious freedom, because I mean, so many people probably see that and say, well, yeah, you should be able to practice religion freely.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, this is the Religious Discrimination and Abuse, Pro-Discrimination and Pro-Abuse Act or something.
Call this like the blacken your wife's eye law, or, or you already told her once, or
right.
Reb got the joke. It's a terrible joke.
No, I get the joke. God at atheistairwaves.com. That was Ryan. So I will forward your hate mail on to Ryan. Sorry.
But you may remember what was it, like 4 or 5 months back, there was the Illinois RFRA law that they tried to pass, and the only reason that didn't go through was because there was major
Indiana.
What did I say?
You said Illinois.
Oh, sorry, Indiana. Yeah. There was major pushback from people and lawmakers and businesses, and everyone saying like, "Hey, we're gonna just boycott your entire fucking state."
Arizona as well.
And they backpedaled to that. Arizona did the same thing. And that's why I'm saying, like, I saw this come up and I'm like, aren't we done with this? Didn't we already determine in Arizona and Indiana that this is a dumb idea, that you're going to bankrupt your state?
Although I look at Georgia and I say, like, who the fuck wants to do business there right now? Anyhow,
Atlanta.
what are they really?
Atlanta.
They have Atlanta.
That's it. That's what Georgia has.
But no, they didn't learn. The only lesson they learned is don't do it right now. Wait 6 months.
Yeah, right. Wait till people aren't paying attention to this RFRA stuff.
And like, it's understandable. Like, people have a limited amount of outrage that, like, at some point you just can't even anymore. So
yeah.
So you can get outraged about Indiana, you can outrage about Arizona, and then, like you said, haven't we already dealt with this?
Yeah, but at the very least, we know the infrastructure is already there. People already know the basic concepts of these RFRA laws.
So somebody call George Takei.
But it's basically just everyone that was complaining about last time, start complaining again and just replace Indiana with Georgia.
Yeah.
Can I ask a controversial question?
Well, after what Ryan said a minute ago, I think really anything's on the table at this point.
I was just trying to name the law. It fit.
I haven't had to. I'm not going to have to bleep it like I've had other things Ryan said. So I think it's okay.
Fuck you.
Should adults be? So if two Christian adults agree that they want to enter into a relationship in which the man metes out discipline, should they be allowed to do that?
No.
Well, I mean, if it's consensual.
No.
It can't be.
Well, and because
for a child, like a child can consent.
No, we're talking about adults.
Right. So if it's two adults, I mean,
I agree with them, but I'm interested in hearing their reasoning
about why it shouldn't be allowed.
Why you should not be allowed to enter into an agreement whereby you are consenting to be abused.
Oh, because there's no way we'll ever know that. Like, how are you going to determine that there's actual consent?
Okay.
I know. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, that's always going to be something that can be questioned. And,
even
if you sign a fucking contract.
What is consent and what is coercion?
Oh, I guess also you're also like you're not allowed to give up your civil rights.
That's true.
That's like a thing.
We actually have examples of this in statutory cases where authority figures can't give consent to an authority figure. So we've dealt with a couple in Texas about teachers having sex with of-age children, 18 years old, 17 years old, but they actually can't. Those children can't consent because they're teachers. I'm making a point. I'm almost there. Okay. So if you are giving up the authority to be punished to somebody else, you are in essence consenting to a authority figure, which can't happen. And even Texas has laws about that. If you say that this man is the authority over me, you can no longer consent that he has the authority over you.
Right.
That's what popped up in my head. And
you're thinking like a catch-22 kind of thing.
Well, I'm saying, that like you can't enter into a relationship. So maybe you could say, I'm subservient to this guy, but at that point, any relationship you would have with him would be null and void and illegal.
If it happens, like the way I kind of see it, if it happens, like if that's something that they just want, it's that there shouldn't be any laws in place to protect the authority figure in case anything ever goes south.
Because at any point, if the non-authority figure in that relationship says, nope, I'm done, she should be able to get out and have legal repercussion.
They should always have a safe word. Mike in the chat room says you should definitely have the freedom to consent to a dom-sub relationship if that's what you want. And I agree with that. But I think if you look at the BDSM community, they have safe words. They have a lot more respect and a lot more communication than what you see in these Christian relationships.
And you can exit those partnerships.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't, you are blackballed. That's a very small community and a very tight-knit community. You will be blackballed very quickly if you are not a respectful person. That does not happen in these religious communities.
Well, what was our collective opinion on the...
I'm for it.
Those those Sharia law courts that
I'm for it.
Everyone was freaking out about because you're kind of because you can always just supersede to a higher authority.
No. If you sign a contract saying that you're going to go into arbitration instead of going to court, that's legally binding, and I think it should be. And if you are a person who says, I want to be bound by the laws of Sharia and I want to be held accountable to Sharia law, you will be held accountable to that. And I think that you should be able to do that because it's not...
But I thought if you weren't able to arbitrate, like if you weren't able to come to a solution during that arbitration, you could always go up to the regular court.
Sure. Yeah.
So there's an out there.
There's an escape clause for sure.
So Mike in the chat room says that his safe word is kumquat, which sounds way too close to other things that you would be saying for me. Yeah. Like that you need
don't
what kind of weird sex are you having?
Hiding at work says hers is popcorn.
Yeah, so I'm storing that away for later.
I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh dear. Okay. Let's move on. Christian pregnancy crisis centers are awful. I just want to say that.
I think we all agreed with that. Yeah.
So I just wanted to preface this story by saying that not only do they give religion-based health counseling to women, but they are pretty much universally deceptive. Pretty much anytime you see a billboard that has a depressed-looking woman holding her head in her hands and saying something like, "Pregnant Super Medical Center Treatment Center can help," that means that they are a Christian organization. They'll never tell you that they're a Christian organization, and they're trying to influence your decisions. California noticed this trend and said, no. Several Christian pregnancy crisis centers are suing the state after passage of the Reproductive Fact Act, a portion of which requires all pregnancy centers that are unlicensed to post a sign in the lobby saying, quote, "California has public programs that provide immediate free or low-cost access to comprehensive family planning services, including all FDA-approved methods of contraception, prenatal care, and abortion for eligible women. To determine whether you qualify, contact the county social services office at this number." Not only that, but these unlicensed Christian centers also have to post a sign saying, "This facility is not licensed as a medical facility by the state of California and has no licensed medical provider who provides or directly supervises the provision of services." That kind of stuff will throw a wrench directly into your attempt at trying to pretend that you are a medical center. For sure. Josh McClure is the executive director of the East County Pregnancy Care Clinic in El Cajon, which, right in the title, you can tell it's totally a Christian organization. East County Pregnancy Care Clinic. Oh, yeah. He told NPR this week that this law goes against everything his clinic stands for.
Oh, that's
Facts?
Yeah, facts.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
Transparency.
I'm not a doctor. We're not licensed. We have no medical expertise.
For your entertainment purposes only.
Who wouldn't want to go to a pregnancy crisis clinic for entertainment purposes? I mean, really. He insists that all of the abortions will kill you and make you sad forever, and that the stuff they tell women about this stuff is completely backed by research. LOL. Even worse, sorry.
What research?
Yeah, exactly. Like research,
That's a
like
good question.
Like the Regnerus study, well debunked and faulty research. I mean, they have research, but we were talking about source evaluation and information evaluation before. This is stuff that we know is not true. We know these research studies are flawed and wrong, and they still rely upon them.
Because it was a study.
Right. And this is why people get so fucking confused. They're like, "Oh, well, I've got a study here that says this." It's like, well, but there's a difference between this study and that study. There's a difference. And you can discover that difference if you're smart. Or
you don't even have to be particular smart. You just have to know what's dumb.
If you see a study that's questionable, ask one of your smart friends.
Or you can just see like what smart people on the internet said it was dumb.
I now want to start like a PSA campaign. Ask your smart friends. I'm serious. We have to do this.
The more they know.
I mean, that's what people do, right? Like everybody in this room has had like, well, what do you think? Like, you know about this stuff. Somebody said that to them, right? Oh,
no, that's amazing. But no, but I mean, I do that actually. When someone asks me a question and it's on a topic that I'm not expert in, and I know someone who is.
Right, we ask Jeff.
Right, exactly. We make sure Jeff comes into the show and he can tell us all the things. So even worse than Josh McClure, fake doctor, is Brad Dacus from the Pacific Justice Institute.
Well, hold on, Red Flag Justice Institute.
Or freedom, or
family.
Yeah, but you instantly they're a shitty organization. But this is actually the organization. Does everyone remember when we called Mark Armitage?
Yes.
He's a young Earth creationist who found a Triceratops horn with soft tissue still inside, and he was teaching in his university that this was proof that the flood happened and the Earth was only 6,000 years old.
This was like a year ago, like last December or January.
Yeah. Well, like live on the show, we discovered that his phone number was online, and we're like, we're just gonna call this
this one
motherfucker.
where Jay picked up. He's like, I don't want to talk to him. What's going on?
Exactly right. Jay handled that very poorly.
Fumbled the whole goddamn thing.
But Mark would not talk to us about the case. He referred us to the Pacific Justice Institute, who is representing him in that case. So
we should try to talk to them.
Right? Wow, we should totally call them. So anyway, this douchebag said that telling unlicensed clinics that they can't pretend to be medical centers with actual medical licenses is like, quote, telling the Alcoholic Anonymous group that they have to have a large sign saying where people can get alcohol and booze for free. So for those of you playing at home, pregnant women, just like recovering alcoholics.
And his analogy doesn't really work. The analogy would be Alcoholics Anonymous having to say, like, there is no scientific evidence that our group therapy works.
That's exactly where I was going with that.
Did I stomp all over it?
No.
I feel bad.
I'm just, it's glorious. I'm not the only one who saw the obvious flaw in that
You
analogy.
beat him to it.
Yeah.
No, it's perfect.
No, you beat Christian to the point. Good job.
For first place medal. You finished first. I've heard that about you a lot. Okay. So, California Attorney General Kamala Harris has promised to vigorously defend the state law in court, and good. And honestly, I don't care if your reasons for doing things are religious or not, if they're secular, non-secular. If you're trying to trick people who you acknowledge are in crisis for any reason,
You're a bad person.
you're a bad person. You should be targeted for regulation. If you're a psychic, just for example, and you're taking advantage of people who are sad over the death of loved ones or whatever personal crisis they're going under, and you are taking their money.
In time.
Yeah.
I have a rule about things like this. If your ideas or your assertions can't stand up to a tiny little bit of scrutiny, then you are exactly the people that it should get all the scrutiny.
I agree with that 100%.
This is also a good case for regulations, by the way.
Yes, thank
Regulations
you.
are a good thing.
So you libertarians, take note.
No, my thing is, I mean, if you are going to force women to wait 24 hours at, abortion clinics, and if you're going to make them put a fucking wand up their vagina to look for baby heartbeats, I think at the very least, the crisis centers can afford to put a piece of paper with, a warning on there.
Could at least say, hey, we're not really doctors.
Yeah.
Hiding at work in the chat room says, God at atheistairwaves.com will tell you if a study is dumb. And I just want to say it's probably true because if you send us an email, we would probably look at it because we're that dumb. We will do all that work for you. I don't know why we're like that, but yes. One more story. Do we want to cut out of here?
I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're over time now.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we are.
Let's get the hell out of here then. Thank you for listening to Atheist Airwaves, sponsored by Corpus Christi Atheists and the South Texas Coalition of Reason. If you would like to compliment, complain, or make a suggestion, or if you'd like us to evaluate a study for you, God at atheistairwaves.com. Thank you to Tombstone to Dead Man for our outro music. Patreon.com/atheistairwaves. We're actually going to get through an entire show without it crashing. I'm so excited. And we'll see you guys next week at 7:30. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Go show it.
Yep.
My tolerance for ignorance is non-existent. Why resist it? Cause faith-based claims can't go the distance. You either gonna stand up for reality or surrender to the fantasy. But either way, don't care if people mad at me. My criticism's so much bigger than religion. It's about the fact that they're lacking in total skepticism. These days it kinda seems like being skeptic is a negative. So my position is that faith's a type of mental sedative. The type of things I rap about are really not cerebral. There's just an overabundance of really stupid people who get offended when I challenge all that sacred shit. Fuss and complaining, but but then abstain from debating it. They want me suppressed, so they try to say that I'm obsessed. That knee-jerk reaction whenever they hear my views expressed. Some other ones that ain't blind sit on the sidelines, too scared to offend, but then defend all those dumb lies. You really think these stayers see you in a different light because you're the type that's passive, you're favorable inside their sight? You really think they think that you and I are not alike, and that they don't imagine you burning hot in the afterlife? To them, you're just a sacrilegious blasphemy, a tragedy, a heathen who doesn't respect his holy majesty. My contention, you're respected on condition that you never contradict them or speak against their convictions. So this is where I'm making my stand, and now regardless who don't like it or how they get mad, see why the rest of y'all capitulate and go with the plan. I'll be beating on this wall until I'm breaking my hand. So listen while I state official policy. No matter how I'm threatened with hell, then never silence me. I know that you don't see this as imperative, but I refuse to lose and let the stupid frame the narrative.
She paused it. So it wasn't sucking up bandwidth. I think. I hope. Nobody else is complaining about not being able to see things.
Music stop?
Yeah, it just.
Stop recording.
Oh, okay. So there.